On the eve of my wedding to Lucas, my family went bankrupt. He held an umbrella, gazing down imperiously at me sitting sprawled in the drenching rain. I reached out to grab his pants leg. He jerked away in disgust. Amelia, do you know even a single touch from you fills me with utter disgust? Then I realized. His parents had forced him to curry favor with me due to my family's influence. Later, I left. However, but he went crazy looking for me. When we met again, his eyes red, he reached out to take my hand. I said flatly, "Don't touch. That's disgusting." Bang! My hand loosened, and the bag in my hand dropped to the ground with a heavy thud. I stared in disbelief at the group photo displayed on the living room TV cabinet. In the photo, the boy had his arm around the girl's shoulder, both wearing the same blue and white school uniforms, with equally radiant smiles. The man in the photo was my fiancé Lucas, and the girl leaning against his shoulder was my closest girlfriend, Evelyn. "Look at you, why must you bring this upon yourself?" A sardonic laugh came from behind me. It was Lucas's mother. She glanced at the photo on the TV cabinet and said sweetly, "Lucas and Evelyn make a perfect match, don't they?" That Lucas's mother, who used to gently hold my hand, now asked if Lucas and Evelyn were a good match. Seeing that I didn't speak, Lucas's mother continued, "Now that your family has gone bankrupt, Lucas no longer has to pretend to be with you." My mind exploded with a boom. What do you mean he doesn't have to pretend to be with me anymore? I came to find Lucas today because the family company had been experiencing cash flow problems for a long time, but Dad had been keeping it from me to prevent me from worrying. I wanted Lucas to help me because we were about to get married and would soon be a family. During our engagement, he said he would take care of everything. No matter what happened, I just needed to look at him, and he would help me handle it. I believed this wholeheartedly. I have known Lucas since we were 6. This year marks 18 years. He had always been gentle and considerate toward me, remembering every little thing I mentioned. My greatest wish was to marry Lucas and become his wife. I left Lucas's house in a daze, and the butler I had called uncle for more than a decade opened the door for me. His gaze held a hint of heartache and compassion. I forced a wan smile. No wonder Lucas hadn't contacted me lately. I thought he was busy with work, but it turned out it was because my family was going bankrupt, and he could finally shake me off. As I stepped out the door, rain was pouring outside. I walked into the rain, and the downpour quickly drenched my dress. I stopped and out of habit looked up toward the balcony of Lucas's bedroom on the second floor. Just one glance, and I was rooted to the spot. On the balcony, the tall man was holding the petite woman tightly in his arms, kissing her passionately as thunder rumbled and lightning flashed through the pouring rain. The heavy rain blurred my vision. I couldn't distinguish whether it was the downpour or my own tears. I could only vaguely see him clinging to her so tightly and kissing her so devotedly. We officially started dating when we were 18. Lucas said he disliked having excessive physical contact with people. So when we were together, the most intimate gesture he ever made was kissing my forehead. So he would kiss someone like this, with such passion after all. It turned out he was just disgusted by me. He didn't want any intimate contact with me. Even kissing my forehead must have been unbearable for him. On the second floor balcony, Lucas let go of the girl he had kissed, her cheeks flushed from the kiss, and his gaze fell upon the drenched and disheveled figure standing in the torrential downpour. "Lucas, Amelia's here." Evelyn looped her arm through Lucas's, her innocent face tinged with a few traces of worry. "She's out in the rain, let's go bring her an umbrella." My feet might as well have been nailed to the ground. My feet were nailed to the ground. I wanted to walk away, but I couldn't move. I watched in disarray as the villa door opened once more. Lucas, holding a black umbrella, made his way toward me with his arm around Evelyn. Even from a distance, I could still clearly make out the expression on Lucas's face. Cold, aloof, ruthless. He had always been gentle and refined in front of me, yet this was the first time I saw this side of him. "Amelia, quick, take the umbrella," Evelyn urged with feigned concern, offering me hers. I was staring coldly at her hypocritical face. Her family favored boys over girls, and she was meek-natured. Growing up, I had stood up for her countless times, treating her like my own sister, yet this was how she repaid me. "I don't need your phony concern." Lucas narrowed his eyes. "Amelia, don't push it." Evelyn's showing you kindness here. I felt as if I had heard something ridiculous. Kind? Does her kindness mean stealing my fiancé? Lucas frowned. Even without Evelyn, I wouldn't like you. My nose stung. Even though I had just heard the truth from Lucas's mother moments before, hearing him confirm it himself felt like my heart was being torn open by bare hands. The pain was so intense that I struggled to breathe. Why would you do this to me? I lunged forward and shoved Lucas with all my might. They stumbled back, and while I lost my balance, I collapsed straight to the ground. Evelyn immediately gasped and rushed to steady me. I forcefully shook off her hand. Her eyes were red, as if she had been deeply wronged. In the past, whenever she looked like this, my heart used to ache for her. A bitter smile crossed my face. I really had been blind. Lucas was holding the umbrella, looking down at me. Tears blurred my vision, yet I thought I glimpsed a trace of his former tenderness. I reached out to grab his pant leg. I wanted to say I don't want to marry him anymore. I can step back, but please help my dad. He pulled away in disgust. Amelia, do you realize that even a single touch from you fills me with utter disgust? His cold and hateful gaze was like a sword thrusting and twisting in my chest. The agony left me utterly shattered. Ever since I was a child, I never even had the freedom to make friends. If I ever upset you, my mom would beat me the moment I got home. You've been high and mighty for so many years, and now it's your turn to get a taste of the life of those beneath you. Not long ago my family was the richest family in Yin City. When my mother gave birth to me, she died from amniotic fluid embolism. My dad, fearing I might feel deprived, never remarried. He raised me like a pearl and jewel, becoming Yin City's infamous daughter-obsessed father. Therefore, many people would curry favor with him by first trying to please me. I had everything since birth and never paid any mind to their flattery. But I never imagined that aside from sending money and gifts, they would even send a person. A 6-year-old boy. My dad, who had been in the business world for over a decade, probably never thought of this. He truly believed Lucas treated me well and had supported and elevated the Lucas family over the years, treating Lucas as if he were his own son. He just wanted me to marry into the Lucas family so the Lucas family would treat me well. Never did I imagine. They were all just a pack of ungrateful wretches. I stumbled out of the Lucas family yard and trudged through the torrential rain in the dim glow of the streetlights. Suddenly, a beam of light fell upon me. I walked slowly forward until the car came to a stop beside me. Pausing mid-step, I stopped and realized with just one glance that this wasn't the Lucas family's car. Even now, I still held illusions about Lucas. Beyond redemption. As I turned to walk away, the driver's door swung open. A man clutching a dark blue umbrella stepped out, circled the front of the car before coming to a halt beside me. Only when he stood right in front of me did I recognize him. It was my nemesis since childhood, Oliver. I lowered my head and mumbled weakly, "I don't have time for your sarcastic remarks today." Oliver and I grew up in the same gated villa community, clashing dramatically since childhood. Every confrontation turned into such a spectacle that later, whenever hosts held banquets, they'd intentionally or unintentionally keep us separated. After he graduated, he went abroad. I heard he was helping his family manage the branch in France. Seeing me down and out, he traveled all the way from France just to mock my misfortune. What a fated rivalry since childhood. Oliver furrowed his brows. In your heart, am I really that kind of person? I hadn't seen him for 2 years. Now he was all dressed up like a decent human being, with a bit more maturity and less of his previous flamboyance and roguishness. I nodded, Oliver laughed in exasperation. Get in the car. I looked at him warily. Why does he want me to get into the car? Was he going to shut the car door and give me a sarcastic sneer? He seemed a bit resigned. If you don't get in, I won't loan your family the money. Hearing this, I swiftly yanked the car door open and plopped down onto the passenger seat. I don't know if Oliver is lying to me. But right now, no one was willing to lend money to help my family through this crisis. Oliver was the only one who'd offered. I followed Oliver to his riverfront grand flat. I had been here several times before because I was the first to take a liking to it, but Oliver pulled some tricks and bought it before I could. Back then, I was only a junior in college. My brain felt like it was about to burst from anger, and I charged straight to Oliver's classroom as soon as I got the news. He had just gotten out of class when I dragged him off and gave him a beating in front of a crowd. I looked around and noticed he'd done a pretty good job with the decor. I murmured inwardly that his taste was actually not bad. Money. As soon as he closed the door, I blurted out, I can pay according to the bank's interest rates. Oliver sauntered to the couch and settled into it as I trailed behind with cautious steps. If it weren't for needing to borrow money, I would rather die than put on such a front in front of Oliver. But the company was more important. It was my father's life's work, and I couldn't just stand by watching it collapse. Oliver drummed his fingers rhythmically against his knee. I held my breath, silently waiting for his response. I don't need that petty interest, he said with deliberate calmness, studying me intently. I actually couldn't quite decipher the emotions hidden in his eyes. You didn't even want to lend me the money, yet you had me come all the way here. Are you screwing with me? I grabbed a cushion and heaved it at him. Still the same old bastard. Furious, I turned to leave. But the moment I took a step, my foot caught on something, and the world spun as I plunged straight backward. I crashed into the sofa, or more accurately, onto Oliver himself. What's in your pocket? Are you plotting something shady and hiding a weapon or what? I flailed my arms in the air several times but couldn't find leverage to stand up properly. And to make things worse, I kept falling back. A voice came from behind, hoarse with restraint, Amelia, one more move and you're finished. Upon hearing this, I immediately understood what it was. My cheeks flushed crimson all the way to the tips of my ears. You pervert. I ground my back teeth until they nearly cracked, then abruptly recalled Oliver's earlier words. My face froze. With a backhand against the sofa, I swung around and pinned Oliver beneath me. Oliver seemed startled by my movement. What are you doing? I mustered a smile I thought was sweet, oblivious to how unsettling it seemed to Oliver. So, will you lend me the money now? I had Oliver right where I wanted him. How loaded he was gave me a real shock, though I hid my surprise and clenched my jaw against the nerves, forcing a wider smile. Oliver said through gritted teeth, Amelia, get off. Young Master Sue, don't hold my past mistakes against me. I'll never oppose you again. Please, lend me the money. I looked at him pitifully. My grip tightened menacingly, yet I still didn't loosen it. If he refused, I'd resort to force and threaten him with compromising photos. Amelia, you think I can't control you? Before I could even grasp the meaning behind his words, he had already pressed me down onto the sofa. He looked down at me, his eyes filled with smoldering heat. I swore under my breath. I never expected that Oliver, this shameless guy, would actually have such thoughts about me. No wonder he mentioned lending me money and took me back here. How are you gonna handle me, huh? I slipped my hand under his shirt hem, pressing against his washboard-like abs. Oliver hissed. Enough. He held my hand down, and I felt a surge of unwillingness. If merely sleeping with him could resolve the financial problems, I wouldn't hesitate for a moment. In the past, I valued my purity and wanted to give my most intact self to Lucas, but now, nothing mattered more than securing the money to help Dad overcome this crisis. I gritted my teeth, closed my eyes, and pressed my lips against Oliver's without hesitation. I was a bit too forceful and bumped into his lips. Hiss, is this a kiss or are you getting back at me? You nearly knocked my teeth loose. I've never kissed anyone before, how would I know? Ignoring his words, I wrapped my arms around his neck, my nose stinging with tears. Oliver, please lend me the money. My dad's shrunk 2 sizes these days. I can lend you the money if you let go first. Upon hearing this, I immediately let go and put my hands up in surrender. Oliver rubbed the corner of his mouth that I had busted and said, I can invest in your family's company. No repayment needed. The prerequisite is that you marry me. My pupils constricted. Why would you propose that? My family has been facing bankruptcy. Why would he seek to propose a marriage alliance with me? Does he like me? How bold of me to even think that. Oliver touched his nose and said offhandedly, women. Such a hassle. I'll discuss the funding with your father. You bring up the marriage alliance with him. We'll go to your house tomorrow to get the household registration booklet. This, so soon? I was stunned, then soon felt something was off. Did I agree to that? At Lucas's home, he stood on the second-floor balcony, gazing at the deserted entrance. It was finally over. He would never have to seek Amelia out against his will again. But the image of Amelia before she left lingered persistently in his mind. She was completely drenched, her good curse revealed. Lucas suddenly felt a surge of heat rush through his body. In the past, he had been too repulsed to even consider touching her. Now he felt a little sorry. But with Amelia's family bankrupt, if he truly desired, given her utterly devoted nature to him, keeping her as a mistress wouldn't be difficult. A dark flicker lit in Lucas's eyes. He stubbed out his cigarette and turned to enter the house. I looked at the red marriage certificate in my hand, then turned back to glance at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Oliver's funds had already arrived in our company's account by midnight, and he dragged me out of bed early to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau. He acted like he was rushing to reincarnate. I couldn't even manage to sleep in a bit longer. Where to now? I looked at Oliver beside me. Since he had provided the funds, my attitude toward him was more pleasant than usual. Oliver drawled in a languid tone, "Don't smile like that, it gives me the creeps. Some people are just born with a cheap bone, give them a kind look and they can't handle it." I kicked him in the leg, "Get in the car already." Oliver grinned mischievously, wrapping his arm around my shoulder. "That's the spirit, Mrs. Sue." "What, Mrs. Sue?" I shook off his hand from my shoulder, but Oliver immediately draped it over my shoulder again. "We're married now, and you won't even allow my hand to rest here?" I said with a mirthless smile. "I gave you the chance yesterday. You didn't take it." Oliver immediately perked up. "Wasn't yesterday's situation not legitimate? Come on, let us go home now." My eyes widened. What was he talking about? Oliver shoved me into the car, and we drove back to the same large apartment where we'd slept the previous night. I slept in the master bedroom, but I didn't know where Oliver slept. As soon as the door closed, Oliver swept me up into his arms and made a beeline for the master bedroom, moving with the practiced ease of someone who'd done this countless times. To my knowledge, he had never dated anyone. Could it be that he dated a foreign girlfriend during his 2 years in France? He was good-looking, had a great body, and came from a good family. It would be strange if he didn't date. I soon found out. Oliver, this guy, really had never been in a relationship. Looking at Oliver's dumbfounded expression, I would have mercilessly mocked him before, but now all I could do was blush. He didn't even enter the bedroom before he finished. I felt like I was finished. "An accident," Oliver said through clenched teeth as he lowered his head to try kissing me again. Seeing his utterly defeated look, I couldn't help smoothing his hair soothingly. It's okay. Everyone has their first time, you know." Oliver snorted, "Sounds like you've got plenty of experience." For some reason, I detected a tinge of sourness in his tone. A faint pain shot through my head, and I sank my teeth hard into Oliver's shoulder. "You." Oliver seemed stunned, not daring to move a muscle. He certainly wouldn't expect that I had been dating Lucas for 6 years without ever once sharing a kiss. Because Lucas had always hated me. Thinking of Lucas still made my heart ache faintly. "If you ever dare to cheat, I'll cut it off." "I won't. There will only be you for the rest of my life." Oliver lowered his head and pressed a tender, reverent kiss to my eyelid. My heart trembled. That was so not Oliver's style. Soon, I lost my train of thought as Oliver physically demonstrated what constituted an accident versus his natural rhythm. I was woken up again by the ringing of a phone. I lifted my aching hand to reach for the phone and held it to my ear. "Hello?" My voice was hoarse and raspy, with a faint, dry ache. I mentally cursed Oliver 1,000 times. "It's Lucas." Lucas's voice chased away all the drowsiness from my mind. What was he calling for now? "Didn't you get enough mockery in yesterday?" I said coldly, "What is it?" Lucas's voice instantly shifted in tone. "What happened to your voice?" I chuckled. "You and Evelyn have been hooking up behind my back for years, haven't you? Never even slept together? And you're asking me what's wrong with my voice?" Lucas's face darkened grimly. "Amelia, you haven't even called off our engagement yet, and you're already seeing other men out there? Lucas, have you lost your mind? Do you even know why we got into that marriage? It was all a scheme. And you still have the nerve to bring it up?" Lucas, don't act innocent with me, shall she? I've long understood what you're really like. Was he implying I was conservative? Before I could respond, he continued, I can help with your uncle's company, but you have to be a good girl and obey me. Lucas's voice was laced with lofty, patronizing generosity. I found him utterly baffling. What does he mean by obeying him? Suddenly, I grasped the hidden meaning in Lucas's words. My face drained of color. Are you asking me to become your kept woman? Who would let my wife be a mistress? The phone was snatched from my hand, and when I looked up, I saw Oliver's frosty face. This was the first time I saw Oliver this way. It was really scary. The moment a man's voice came through the phone, Lucas's veins bulged at his temple. Oliver, what the hell are you doing with my woman? Oliver smirked, but his eyes were cold. My wife and I have a marriage license. It's legally binding. Stop deluding yourself. What does my wife have to do with you? As soon as he finished speaking, the phone emitted a dial tone. Lucas's face turned black as ink as he smashed the device in his grip, instantly shattering it to pieces. Lucas, what happened? When Evelyn walked in, the shattered phone lay at her feet, and the man on the sofa radiated heavy tension. Lucas composed himself. What brings you here? Evelyn sat down on the sofa. Your mother asked me to look at the wedding dresses. You should come down and take a look too. Lucas momentarily drifted off. He called out of the blue eye, I'm innocent too, I stammered. Oliver still looked displeased. I nudged Oliver with my foot. Why the long face? Yes, the annoying one. Oliver grabbed my foot and pressed himself over me. Now you see how blind you were back then? I recalled telling Evelyn Yen in high school that I didn't like the tanned, muscular type. I preferred fair and lean guys like Lucas. Oliver happened to overhear it. He sneered that Lucas was just a scrawny chicken, all looks and no substance, and I hurled back a torrent of icy taunts. In the end, I couldn't win the argument, so I started hitting him. I nearly scratched his face raw. Oliver had always been a little rascal who loved playing basketball. His skin was wheat-colored. In high school, I accidentally caught him changing clothes, which revealed those enticing 8-pack abs. I actually liked it. I just wanted to rile Oliver up, who told him to always run his mouth like that. Especially with his quick tongue, he always won our arguments, and he never won a fight against me. Oliver leaned in to kiss me. Having never been in a relationship, his technique was truly concerning. After a while, he let me go. Greece tomorrow. Ah? Oliver tapped my forehead. Since we're married, we might as well go on our honeymoon. I paused slightly. I had previously told Lucas I wanted to go to Greece for our honeymoon, but he just nonchalantly murmured uh-huh without even looking away from his computer. I asked, how did you know I wanted to go to Greece? Oliver shot me a sidelong glance. You said before that after marrying me, we'd go to Greece for our honeymoon. There was a hint of resentment in his tone. I looked at him, and it took me a while to remember I had said that when I was 4. Before I turned 5, I actually loved following Oliver around. On his 5th birthday, the parents from both families jokingly mentioned arranging our engagement. Oliver shoved me, saying that he hated me and didn't he want to marry me. I was heartbroken. After returning home, I broke down sobbing and never went to look for Oliver again. Gradually, the relationship between our families drifted apart. Didn't you hate me? How do you even remember that clearly? I asked. Oliver pinched my cheek. You really hold grudges. I just accidentally pushed you once, and you stubbornly refused to speak to me ever again. Accidentally? I asked suspiciously. Oliver started to speak but trailed off. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed the tips of his ears turning bright red. I did apologize to you. When? I muttered, puzzled. Then a memory clicked. That 2-meter-tall giant teddy bear. I gasped. I thought it was from Yen Evelyn. Back then, Yen Evelyn was standing at the door with the bear, and I wondered how she managed to carry it over. Oliver said in frustration, I've been telling you Evelyn's no good, but you never listened. I met Yen Evelyn in kindergarten. Oliver really disliked her and kept badmouthing her in front of me. I always thought he was just stirring up trouble. Looking back, I was so stupid. It's not too late to believe you now, I grinned sheepishly. Fortunately, Oliver isn't the type to hold grudges. After all those years of me beating him up, he still chose to help our family through difficult times. The very next day, I boarded a flight to Greece. I originally wanted to stay in the country to help my dad, but he said he could handle everything and told me to go out to relax and enjoy myself. Before boarding the plane, I was bombarded with the overwhelming news about the impending marital alliance between the Lucas and Yen families. The internet was sensationalizing their love story. As the former fiancé, I had completely faded from the public eye. This is exactly what I wished for. I just hoped to never have any entanglements with those two again. Upon arriving in Athens that day, it was already afternoon. After sharing a meal, Oliver and I lay on the terrace lounge chairs, watching the Aegean Sea sunset unfold before us. I prefer watching sunsets over sunrises. When the golden sunlight spreads across the azure sea, the beauty is beyond words. A few days later, we went scuba diving at the blue caves of Zakynthos Island. I had always loved diving, but Lucas was afraid of water due to a previous drowning experience, so I rarely went. As we entered the water, Oliver held my hand, and as we submerged into the azure sea, I felt as if I had entered another world. The heaviness in my heart seemed to dissipate in an instant. My future is still ahead of me. Lucas and Evelyn are merely passers-by in my life. There's no need for me to hold grudges against them. The ones who made mistakes are them, not me. About half a month into our stay in Greece, my dad called with good news. The company's situation had temporarily stabilized and at least wouldn't go bankrupt. As for whether he could regain his position as the richest man in Yen City, that would depend on my dad. At the same time, news of my marriage alliance to Oliver was also announced. "Darling, how should you thank me?" Oliver's fluffy head nuzzled against my shoulder. Over the past half-month in Greece, Oliver has been like a completely different person, clinging to me from dawn till dusk. He didn't change even when I hit or scolded him. "Scram, I need to sleep." I shrugged him off and flopped onto the bed. For the past half-month, I had spent half the day exercising outside and the nights between the sheets. I was completely wiped out. "Let us get some sleep, babe." Oliver quickly climbed into bed and dug under the covers. Lucas tightened his grip around the glass subconsciously. "Amelia is moving so fast. Weren't she and Oliver always at each other's throats? Why the sudden marriage?" Hunter swirled his wine glass and cast a glance toward Lucas. "Oliver had a crush on Amelia way back, didn't he? They used to fight like cats and dogs every time they met. How could they possibly end up getting married?" Hunter said, "You guys didn't know this, but back in freshman year, two boys were making comments about Amelia's body behind her back, and Oliver beat them so badly that they ended up with bruised and swollen faces. What's the point of Oliver liking Amelia? Amelia likes our Lucas." "Lucas, is Amelia just throwing a tantrum and marrying Oliver on a whim because you're getting married?" Lucas slammed the glass down heavily. "Amelia would never like him." Seeing Lucas was in a bad mood, his friend quickly stepped in to mediate. "Shall she likes you so much, we all know that. Lucas, are you actually in love with Evelyn or Amelia? Marriage in families like ours means lifelong commitment. You need to seriously think this through." One of his friends chimed in. Everyone present was well aware that Lucas and Evelyn Yen had been secretly seeing each other behind Amelia's back. They had thought Lucas and Evelyn were going to end up together. Lucas had been in an extremely foul mood lately, especially today when the news broke about Amelia and Oliver's marriage alliance. When Lucas entered the private room, he was radiating a dark aura, looking like he was about to kill someone. Lucas picked up his glass and drained it in one gulp, a frosty chill rising in his eyes. "She wouldn't dare marry someone else." Seeing the situation getting tense, his friends hurriedly steered the conversation elsewhere. "Phone. Want to get it?" I raised my head halfway from the pillow. "Not taking it. I've been exhausted." "Lucas." Only then did I notice Oliver's laid-back expression had turned pissed off. I still have never understood why Oliver loathed him so much. "Honey, he's so clingy. It's so annoying." I laughed helplessly. "Go ahead and answer it." Oliver hit answer and put the phone to my ear. "Shall she, my stomach hurts." Lucas's slurred voice came through the phone. I peeked at Oliver's darkened face. His brows were furrowed so tightly they could kill a fly. I said tonelessly, "If your stomach hurts, go see a doctor." Now that half a month had passed, hearing Lucas's voice again felt entirely neutral to me. "Fiancé, can you come pick me up, please? I miss you." Question mark. I was baffled. "Have you lost your mind?" "I'm Amelia, the Amelia you despise. If you want to act crazy, go bother Evelyn. My husband and I are in the middle of something and can't be bothered with you." 2. Go bother to better convey intentional nuisance. 4. Don't have time, can't be bothered matches impatient tone. 6. Kept fragmented structure matching original loose dialogue flow. I hung up the phone with that. On the other end, Lucas stared at the disconnected phone, his dazed gaze locked on the blackened screen. A belated sense of panic crept into his heart. "She's really married? Lucas, what are you doing sitting on the ground? You should get up." Evelyn hurriedly got out of the car and tried to help Lucas up. "Let go of me." Lucas shook off Evelyn's hand, and she stared at him in stunned disbelief. "Lucas," her voice trembled. Evelyn's eyes reddened. "Aren't you happy about Amelia's marriage?" Lucas remained silent. "Go back. Are you happy now?" I set my phone aside, watching Oliver's expression clear. The only good thing about him was that he didn't hide his feelings. "Wife, what did you just call me?" I frowned, feigning ignorance. "What do you mean? Call me that again." "I don't recall, Oliver." In the end, Oliver forced me with unconventional methods to call him husband so many times. After spending a month in Greece, we flew to France, and Oliver showed me every place he had lived in over the past 2 years. On the first day in France, I received a message from a fair-weather friend. He mentioned Lucas is looking for me all over the capital. He also mentioned that the marriage alliance between the Lucas family and the Yen family had been called off. I was surprised. Weren't they supposed to be madly in love? Why was it called off all of a sudden? I wasn't in the mood to deal with their affairs and went out with Oliver to have fun. After staying in France for nearly a month, we flew back to prepare for our wedding. What I didn't expect was to see Lucas in France the night before our return to China. He looked travel-worn and disheveled, no longer the impeccably groomed aristocratic young master he once was. The fiery sunset cast its glow over the bustling pedestrians as we faced each other through the crowd, our eyes meeting. He strode toward me, and just as he was about to touch my arm, I sidestepped. "Don't touch me. Disgusting." Lucas's joyful expression gradually stiffened when he heard my words and saw my cold expression. "Amelia, I've been looking for you for so long." I scoffed. "What for? To attend your wedding with Evelyn?" Lucas frantically shook his head. "It's because I missed you, Xiaoxi. I was wrong. I shouldn't have said those things that day. I've called off the engagement with her. Can we be together properly from now on?" His gaze was sincere, eyes brimming with the passionate tenderness I had always yearned for but never received. It was too late. His belated deep love was as worthless as grass. "I'm already married." I extended my hand, revealing the pigeon egg-sized pink diamond ring on my finger, which Oliver had bought at an auction and proposed to me in front of everyone under the Eiffel Tower. He said that even though we were legally married, the necessary ceremonies shouldn't be forgotten. When I was with Lucas, he appeared gentle, but now looking back, his affection felt too superficial. Especially after these 2 months of traveling with Oliver. In contrast, I realized just how foolish I had truly been before. "I know Oliver must have tricked you as long as you get a divorce." Before he could finish speaking, Oliver, who had gone to fetch me water, knocked him to the ground with a punch. Lucas wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. "Oliver, you took advantage of my misfortune, you scoundrel." Oliver scoffed. "Lucas, you're utterly shameless. You were with Amelia, enjoying the benefits from her family while still acting high and mighty. While also cheating outside." I could see that Oliver harbored deep resentment towards Lucas and didn't stop him from hitting Lucas. As the 2 men grappled with each other, I seized the chaos to land a kick on Lucas. How dare he humiliate me like that? How dare you call me disgusting? I'm the heiress of the wealthiest family in Cloud City, beautiful and wealthy. Is there any man I couldn't have? It's not like I forced him to stick around with me. Why does he shift all the blame onto me? Okay, honey, stop now. If you hurt him too badly, we'll be in trouble. Seeing Lucas gasping weakly, I quickly pulled Oliver back. His muscles sure weren't just for show. Oliver crouched down, pointing at Lucas's face. Today I'll spare you for my wife's sake. Next time you harass my wife again, let's see if I don't beat you to death. Oliver had wanted to punch Lucas for a long time. Lucas had Amelia's affection but didn't cherish it, making Oliver furious. But in the past, Amelia hadn't believed anything he said. When they were kids, he pushed Amelia towards someone else due to his contradictory words and actions. During his midnight reveries, he would bury himself under the covers and cry with regret. Fortunately, she's back with him now. Amelia, don't call him like that, Lucas pleaded, gazing at me with desperate eyes. I ignored his words. It was Oliver who beat him, and I had to call a car to take him to the hospital. Oliver held me, looking down at Lucas huddled on the ground. Just like that day at Lucas's house. On my first day back in China, Evelyn showed up at my door. I didn't want to see her, but I was genuinely curious why she had treated me that way after all. I'd known her far longer than I'd known Lucas. I asked the servant to just get her any random glass of water. Since she was no longer my friend, it was only natural that her visit to my house came with no privileges. She put on that delicate and pitiable look I was all too familiar with. Amelia, I'm sorry, I never meant to hurt you. I was now immune to this look. You claim you don't want to hurt me, but what about your actions? The photo I saw at Lucas's home appeared to have been taken during our sophomore year. They had been together since high school, yet Lucas kept up the act of being devoted to me, even though I had confided all my girlish feelings and secrets to Evelyn. They must have been laughing at me behind my back all this time. Evelyn bit her lip. Amelia, I neither have a family as privileged as yours, nor a father who dotes on me, nor a childhood sweetheart who protects me. Lucas is the one who likes me, and I like him too. We're truly in love. Did I not protect you? I let out an angry laugh at Evelyn's words. What do you think earned me my domineering reputation in the capital? Isn't it because I always avenged you? I didn't understand the saying pitiable people must have their detestable parts before. Now I understand, it's referring to people like you. Others have helped you, yet you show no gratitude and even keep comparing yourself to them. I was so angry that I blurted everything out, and Evelyn's tears began pattering down like raindrops. I watched her cry with cold eyes. After crying for a while and seeing I remained unmoved, she stifled her sobs. Fiancé, could you persuade Lucas not to break off our engagement? My mom is forcing me to marry a divorced man in his 30s. I raised an eyebrow, but aren't you two in love? What do you expect me to persuade him about? I didn't have the patience to listen to Evelyn anymore. I came to realize she operated on her own brain logic. As if she were the weakest and most justified person in the world. I had the butler send her away, then continued going through the wedding invitation samples. When the wedding preparations were almost done, I received a call from Lucas's mother urging me to visit him at the hospital. She said Lucas is sick. I told her to call a doctor and hung up. I hadn't forgotten her previous scornful remarks. What reason did I have to visit Lucas just because he was sick? But the next day, Lucas's mother showed up at my doorstep. I turned her down for a week, but she showed up at my doorstep daily. Fed up, I ended up going to the hospital. When I saw Lucas in the hospital room, I was startled. He had lost a significant amount of weight. The hospital gown draped limply on his frame, his eyes shadowed and sunken into their sockets. Gone was any trace of the refined and courteous noble young master from before. I'm here to deliver your wedding invitation. I placed a beautifully crafted wedding invitation on the bedside table, and he reached out to grab my hand. His eyes were red-rimmed as he gazed at me. Amelia, is there really no chance left? I yanked my hand back. Did you ever consider there'd ever be a chance when you called me disgusting back then? He was rendered speechless. Regret flickered through his eyes. So he did know how truly hurtful those words were. Did you ever consider whether there would be a chance in the future when you degraded me and demanded I be your mistress? With every word I spoke, his face grew a shade paler. Lucas, the pity act won't work on me. Even if you died right before my eyes, I wouldn't bat an eyelid. I would only feel that another disgusting person is gone. The light in Lucas's eyes was completely extinguished. I'm not some universally kind-hearted saint. For those I care about, I'd go all out, even risk my life. As for those I don't care about, I wouldn't even spare a single glance. I walked out of the hospital holding my bag and looked up at the vivid azure sky. The weather was clear with no clouds in sight. What a beautiful day. Darling. A man in a suit leaned against his car not far away, waving at me. I smiled and walked toward him. The first time I met Amelia, I thought she was as beautiful and delicate as a porcelain doll. At that time, there was an annoying little brat around her. He always made Amelia stomp her feet in anger, but her gaze never left him. When she wasn't with him, she was hanging out with another girl. At first, I really wanted to be friends with her. The first time I held her hand and played with her, I was genuinely happy. I thought to myself, how could there be such a lovely girl as Amelia in the world? When I grew up, I would marry her. Later, my parents realized that my good relationship with Amelia could benefit our family, and they started subtly prompting me to please her. I didn't like this. But I couldn't defy them gradually. I stopped wanting to visit her home or see her. I felt like we were no longer the same. She was the master, and I was the servant. As she grew older, she became more beautiful and vivacious in personality, with many people liking her. Everyone loved to hang out with her. Especially that detestable Oliver, who constantly hovered around Amelia like a shadow. In my second year of high school, I started dating Evelyn. I didn't actually like her. We were very similar, and that sparked a sort of mutual understanding between us. At 18, forced by my mother, I confessed to Amelia. She accepted with ecstatic delight. At that moment, a pang of regret surged within me. I wanted to be with her properly and planned to break up with Evelyn, but Evelyn cried like a rain-soaked pear blossom, and I comforted her for a long time. She suddenly took off her clothes right in front of me. At 18, with inexhaustible passion, the scales in my heart slowly tilted toward Evelyn. But I also enjoyed Amelia's infatuation with me. Amelia was sunny and cheerful, like a vibrant little sun. Just looking at her seemed to brighten my mood. For 6 years, I balanced guilt with the comfort of Amelia's affection towards me. I refused to admit to myself that I liked her. I could only brainwash myself into thinking that I liked Evelyn, that I hated Amelia, that my relationship with Evelyn was true love, and that I wasn't betraying Amelia. When I was 24, Amelia's family faced bankruptcy, and I knew my chance to get rid of her had come. But after she left, my world felt hollow. What do you mean by not having to force yourself to be with me anymore? I began to think of finding Amelia again, believing that since we hadn't had any physical contact during our relationship, those intense emotions might fade once we did. I never expected that Amelia was married. And it was Oliver. When it turned out that Oliver was the one she was marrying, I knew there was no chance left. Oliver had been coveting Amelia for years. He would pop up at the slightest stir. But I didn't want to admit it. I quickly called off my engagement with Evelyn. I had never actually intended to marry her in the first place. Since Amelia had refused to come back, I wanted to force her to yield by doing this. But she didn't. I searched desperately and finally found her in Paris. The moment she addressed Oliver as honey, all my delusions were utterly crushed. If she didn't like him, she couldn't have called him that way. After returning home, I began drinking heavily on purpose, betting on her tender heart. She was always easy to comfort and had the softest heart. But I didn't realize her tenderness was reserved only for those she truly cared about. Amelia has now been married for 10 years, and the devoted couple of her and Oliver are renowned throughout Yunqing. They have a lovely daughter that I once caught a glimpse of from afar. I often think, if it weren't for that so-called pride of mine and I had openly admitted my feelings for Amelia back then, I would be the one married to her now. Not long ago, Evelyn came looking for me. She was married off by her parents to a man 10 years her senior who had been previously married. Her life was miserable, and she wanted me to help her escape the torment. I was actually resentful towards her deep down. Of course I refused. Looking at the diagnosis report in my hand indicating late-stage stomach cancer, I could only manage a bitter smile.